Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Interesting day in the markets today. We had a very eventful weekend with the United States striking Iranian nuclear facilities. And it looks like today the Iranian response came and it was quite limited. It basically launched less than a dozen missiles on a US airbase in Qatar, and all of them were intercepted. I think one of them was let go because it was headed to nowhere. So the market liked this. It likes the fact that it doesn't appear like the Iranian response is going to be comprehensive or disrupt shipping lanes. Obviously, this could change. As you probably noticed, the world has become a pretty unpredictable place. But if we're looking at how the markets are doing today, you can see the Russell is up 1.22%, Dow Jones is up 0.89%. The S&P is up 0.96% and the Nasdaq is up 1%. If you look at Tesla, alhamdulillah, our foresight was spot on in this case. Tesla was up 8%. We did buy Tesla before market close on Friday, so that worked out well. I will talk about their Robotaxi event, which was, I think, as good as one could hope for, despite some of the FUD that's going around online. Looking at other places in the market, Bitcoin miners did not so good today, but I do think their time is coming. And that brings me to Bitcoin itself, which has been consolidating around between 100 and 105, basically. It's now at 103. But I do think the next leg up will take it above 120. Certainly, if you look at the money supply and the correlation between Bitcoin's price and global money supply, this is what that would suggest. Now, there are periods of time when Bitcoin kind of separates from that correlation, and that typically happens only 20% of the time. And typically, there is some sort of exogenous political event, geopolitical event that is causing this separation, this non-correlation. And that's really where we have been with Bitcoin. Money supply is going up, but because investors have been nervous for a number of different reasons, geopolitically, most recently, the Iran-US tension, and then before that, Iran-Israel trading of blows, and then before that, you had the tariff scare. So these political events are causing this separation or non-correlation between Bitcoin and the money supply. But I think eventually these events subside and they're no longer top of mind for investors. And then what takes hold is the market dynamics and the correlation with money supply will return. And that gives me confidence that the next leg up for Bitcoin, I can't say when it will happen, but I think it's soon. The next leg up for Bitcoin will take us above 120 and maybe to 150, perhaps as soon as the end of this summer. So we will see about that. Doge is at just shy of 16 cents. Ethereum's at 2,300. So let's talk about some of the winners and losers today and what is next. So, as I mentioned, the Iranian response does appear to be limited. The missiles were intercepted in the skies of Qatar. Nothing was damaged in the US bases. There were zero casualties. And according to Trump, they were given a heads up that this was going to happen. So the U.S. bases in Qatar were empty anyway. So there wouldn't have been casualties even if those missiles reached their target. And a very good sign for markets and for just an insight into the level of nervousness that investors have. A very good sign is that oil dropped close to 9% today. That means investors are betting that shipping lanes for oil are not disrupted. The Straits of Hormuz will not be closed. This is what the market is thinking, and that is a very good sign. This was obviously the number one sort of economic threat that could have transpired from a conflict with Iran. Uh, Moving on to Tesla, I really do think that in terms of impact on our life, what happened over the weekend, which many people didn't pay attention to, is a lot more important than the first man on the moon in terms of practical impact on our lives. Because if you think about it, driving is such a big part of everyone's life, and that is set to change in a very big way in the very near future, I should add. So the long and awaited Tesla Robotaxi event happened yesterday, and it was a success for all intents and purposes. It was a success. Tesla did have a person in the passenger seat, but no one in the driver's seat when these robotaxis were making their deliveries, and many well-known personalities that cover Tesla were invited, and they went on these robotaxi rides, and uh, the reports have been quite good, and many of them live streamed their rides, and really it's only a matter of time before that becomes the norm. Prices of rides were priced at $4.20, uh, and you don't have to tip the driver because there is no driver. So if I was Uber, I would be supremely nervous today, and I would really be thinking about how I'm going to save the business, because the business will be disrupted in a very big way. Coming soon to you, as I've said many times, the the robotaxi um, doesn't necessarily need a dedicated robocab. The Teslas that are on the road right now, most of them, hardware 3 and 4 actually, can likely support the robotaxi software, and therefore can become robotaxis themselves, millions of cars across the world. And so Elon Musk recently mentioned in an interview on CNBC that he thought by the end of next year, you could have north of 1 million robotaxis on the road. And he is referencing this fact, which is that they already have distribution. They already have close to 8 million vehicles on the roads worldwide. And all what's going to take for them to become robotaxi capable, obviously there are some regulations in different jurisdictions that they have to be mindful of. But all what separates them from being a functional robotaxi is a software update. So this is going to happen slowly and then all at once, as I continue to say. And the roads in 2 to 3 years are going to look a lot different than what they look like right now. And that's very exciting. Today, Tesla stock popped, as I mentioned, close to 8%. At one point, I think it was north of 10%. But this is just the beginning. As I've mentioned for a while now, I think that Tesla may go on in a 12 to 18 month run that is quite remarkable. In other news, there was a breakup between HIMSS and Novo Nordisk. They sell the Wegovy weight loss drug, and as a result, HIMSS was down. By the way, for those unfamiliar, HIMSS is a company that essentially does direct to consumer um, uh, pharmacy sales, basically. So if you need medicine, you can just order online from their site and they'll ship it directly to your house. And they do have and are continuing to work on vertical integration. So they have their own factories where they're compounding medicines, and they're kind of want to be from sort of own the process from start to finish. But they also have partnerships with, or they had partnership with a company um, like Novo Nordisk, which makes its own medicines, but they can sell it through HIMSS. And the breakup came, and I'll tell you my position on this. So this was the CEO of HIMSS. He is basically saying that, we're disappointed. Novo Nordisk management is misleading the public. So Novo Nordisk was saying HIMSS is selling a bunch of stuff that is not FDA approved. The materials that they're using in their compounded drugs have not been properly tested and vetted, and a lot of their suppliers are coming from China, and that's not safe. And they should be selling our stuff, basically, but they're not selling our stuff. They're not pushing our stuff. Implied, if you read between the lines, they're not pushing our stuff and making it front and center. They're actually, allowing patients to buy these compound drugs that have not been thoroughly vetted like our drugs have been. This is Novo Nordisk's claim. So this is why they're claiming that they had to end their partnership. Now, the CEO of HIMSS mentioned that Novo Nordisk commercial team increasingly pressured us to control clinical standards and steer patients to Wegovy, which is their drug, Novo's drug, regardless of whether it was clinically best for patients. We refuse to be strong-armed by any pharmaceutical company's anti-competitive demands that infringe on the independent decision-making of providers and limit patient choice. We take our role of protecting the ability of providers and patients to control individual treatment decisions extremely seriously and will not compromise the integrity of our platform to appease a third party or preserve a collaboration. The health and wellness of individuals always comes first. We will continue to offer access to a range of treatments, including Wegovy, to ensure providers can serve the individual needs of patients. So I happen to think that, and given my familiarity with Novo and, some of the things that they've done in the past, I'm kind of leaning towards the HIMSS version of events, where Novo is kind of upset that HIMSS is selling this cheaper alternative to their drug. It's not about safety at all. It's not about FDA approved or not. It's not about any of that. I don't think. I think it's about him saying, you know what, you can buy Novo's product, or you could buy this cheaper compound. You can make the choice. And Novo is very used to, and most pharmaceutical companies, Eli Lilly and others, they're used to charging a premium because their name is on the medicine. But in terms of efficacy of the medicine itself, I'm not really sure that it's worth the upcharge. And HIMSS is putting that to the test, and companies like Novo don't like that. That's why the separation happened. So that's my take on this. And so, given the fact that HIMSS is down today 34%, which is quite astonishing, 34%, there might be an opportunity here for those who are interested in HIMSS. I think it's a very well-run company. It's definitely, I think the future is, direct-to-consumer pharmacies, as opposed to, Walgreens and CVS. Every time I step foot in one of them, it looks sad to go in there. It looks like, a shell of an operation that used to be good, but now is kind of depressing to just be in there. So I think those are sort of on their way out. CVS, Walgreens, other physical pharmacies are on their way out, and then these direct-to-consumer personalized services like HIMSS, like LifeMD, and others will take their place. There's an opportunity here. We were invested in HIMSS. I think we doubled our money and then we got out. And the reason why I got out, I got us out, is because I was kind of uncomfortable with their marketing. I felt that their marketing kind of had some social agenda behind it. I'll take another look at them just because I think it's an interesting company, and definitely think it's promising. But if I'm not comfortable with it, I'm not going to invest. So if nothing has changed, then I'll stay away from it. And alhamdulillah, we're doing very good in the positions that we had. We had one new position that we added in the last week, I believe. I was up 23% today. So alhamdulillah, there's no shortage of opportunities out there. So I'm not going to do anything that I'm not completely comfortable with. And with that being said, I would like to, first of all, shout out and thank, and also share with you a comment that kind of made my day. Your crash wreck on our Discord, a private Discord, says, random thought, I've subscribed to a few investment groups and this one just feels right. I'm so grateful for all the thoughts and opinions shared. Alhamdulillah, it's been good to me. Even with the possible lows, I'll always be grateful to see a group of Muslims united to elevate each other. I thought I'd share this, even though I'm not usually active in chat. Jamal Mubarak. So this was from last Friday, but I just wanted to share it because I was very proud and happy that this person had that experience, and thank you for sharing it. And also for our members, when you do have a good experience, share it on Discord, and I might add it to our live, inshallah. All right, so with that being said, if you'd like to join our PIF community, the link to do so is in the description. And let's go to questions. Amin says, Na'iman, Allah yan'am alayk. Thank you, sir. Hamid says, Salam, brother Rakaan. Any news for lithium? Not really. It's kind of wait and see mode, but what we have waited for, inshallah, is longer than what is left. So the period that we've been waiting is longer than what is left here. Inshallah, we'll see some movement there. Asif says, Salam. Thoughts on HIMSS dropping? Covered that. Harun says, Salam alaikum. Zook's Amazon is quite cool, though it is more expensive than a Tesla, I think. What do you think about those, Rakaan? So I think Tesla's in the clear lead. There may be some other cool plays out there. But why would I skip number one for a distant number two or three? And I think that's the case here. If I had to, I'm not too familiar with Zooks, but if I had to guess, it's kind of analogous to SpaceX versus Blue Origin. They're kind of in different leagues. Asif says, thanks for covering HIMSS. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep, my pleasure. Rashad, nice to see you. Thanks for moderating. Osman says, okay, another question about HIMSS. I'm glad I covered it. Amar says, do you think it's too risky to buy crypto, mainly Bitcoin at the moment? Well, I can tell you what I'm doing, and I have a lot of Bitcoin and Bitcoin proxies in my portfolio. You can do with that what you want. Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Thank you, Abdul. I hope you have a great start to your week as well. Top financial investment channels that you follow. So a lot of it, actually most of it comes from X. I do like to follow X. I also think Invest Answers does a really good job. Yeah, they're trying to think. Yeah, I would say X is like the primary news source for me at this point. If you just search for a particular ticker, you'll get basically the top insights on that particular ticker, and a lot of them tend to be extremely insightful. Other than obviously going to the primary source yourself, which is the investor relations page for any company that you're trying to do a deep dive on or get some insights from. So I do recommend processing information for yourself first before you take the processed information of someone else, and that way you can. So Warren Buffett, when he values companies, he likes to not know what the stock price is. So he comes out with the stock price, and then he checks what the market is trading it for. So similarly, I think that's a pretty good approach. So first, try and form your own opinion before you take the analysis of someone else. Then with the winning with the winning comment of the day, Hassan says, my top financial channel is PIF. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Do leave a like if you enjoyed this live. Become a PIF member if you haven't already. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.